Namaskar. Welcome you all to the session 8 on recovery and rehabilitation. The previous session focused on critical aspects of disaster preparedness and response. Building upon this foundation, this session will explain the multifaceted nature of recovery and rehabilitation. Recovery and rehabilitation focuses on building resilience and restoring communities. What are the core areas of recovery and rehabilitation? Number one is immediate recovery, stabilizing communities with essential services like food, water and shelter. Rehabilitation efforts, revitalizing livelihoods and rebuilding infrastructures. Number 3 is sustainable development, integrating resilience into recovery strategies to mitigate future risks. And number 4 is community engagement, ensuring that recovery aligns with local needs and priorities. Then the essence of recovery and rehabilitation, meaning thereby what is the purpose of recovery? Purpose is to stabilize disaster affected regions by rapidly providing essential resources such as food, water and shelter, prevent cascading effects of disaster including secondary hazards and prolonged social disruptions. Focus on rehabilitation, rebuild critical physical infrastructure including housing, educational institutions and healthcare systems, revive socio-economic system to support sustainable and long-term community recovery. Then comes post-disaster assessment and damage evaluation. What is the objective? Objective is to assess scale, severity and overall impact of disaster to inform strategic planning. What is the outcome expected? Provide actionable data for resource allocation and prioritizing during reconstruction efforts. Identify vulnerabilities in infrastructure, governance or preparedness to improve and strengthen future resilience. Then comes rapid needs assessment. The key features are: number 1, conducted within first 78 hours after a disaster to focus on immediate life-saving actions. Number 2, prioritizes understanding urgent needs including medical care, food, water and temporary shelters. Then comes data collection methods, on-site survey, interviews with the affected communities and remote sensing technologies. Use of GIS to assess hard to reach or inaccessible areas. The outcome expected is it enables efficient deployment of resources, minimizes duplication and ensures aid reaches to those who need it actually. Then comes detailed damage assessment, DDA. The purpose is to analyze structural, economic and sector specific impact to inform recovery strategies. The technique adopted is to conduct engineering assessment, aerial surveys and ground penetrating radar analysis, perform sectoral evaluations focusing on industries, infrastructure and essential services. The outcome is it provides a foundation for planning reconstruction activities and incorporating resilience into rebuilding measures. Then next point is socio-economic impact assessment. The focus area is evaluate economic losses, population displacement and mental health challenges within the affected communities. Conduct gender specific and vulnerability analysis to ensure recovery efforts are inclusive, equitable and actually reaches to the people. The outcome is to develop strategies for the restoring livelihood, rebuilding social cohesion and empowering marginalized groups. The next point is challenges in post disaster assessment. What are the key challenges? The limited access to affected areas due to damaged infrastructure, blocked roads or unsafe conditions. Second is tight time frames for assessment coupled with gaps in coordination among the stakeholders. Third challenge is inadequate resource and trained manpower to conduct comprehensive evaluation. How it and why it is significant? Accurate assessment ensures that resources are directed to the areas of greatest need, preventing waste and duplication. Provide reliable data to strengthen appeals for funding and international support. Build the foundation for a targeted and effective recovery strategy. The next point is principles of sustainable reconstruction. And under this, the most important and famous point is 3B, building back better. It incorporates disaster resilient designs in reconstruction to mitigate future risks, focus on structural upgrades and adherence to modern safety standards. How community is ensured to participate? Involve local communities in planning and decision making process to foster ownership and trust. Utilize traditional knowledge and cultural practices in rebuilding efforts. Second is environmental sustainability. Prioritize eco-friendly materials, efficient energy systems and low impact technologies. Restore natural buffers like wetlands, mangroves and forests to enhance environmental resilience and at the same time creating ecosystem health. The next point to discuss is infrastructure repair and reconstruction. The key areas involved are restoring critical services such as water supply, electricity and transportation networks to enable the normalcy in the region, and rebuilding essential community structures including schools, hospitals and public facilities. What should be the focus? Focus will be to imply resilient designs to minimize damage during future disasters, integrate smart technologies for improved monitoring and maintenance of infrastructure. Then housing and shelter recovery. First one is emergency shelters. Provide immediate and safe refuge for affected populations during initial response phase. Ensure access to basic amenities like food, water and sanitation. Then comes transitional housing. Construct durable temporary housing solutions to support families until permanent homes are rebuilt and bridge the gap between emergency relief and long term recovery. Then comes permanent reconstruction. Develop resilient housing tailored to the local environment and cultural needs. Ensure inclusivity by addressing the needs of marginalized communities and vulnerable groups. The next point is socio-economic rehabilitation. First one point is livelihood restoration. How? Initiate skill building programs and economic recovery schemes to rebuild employment opportunities. Provide financial and micro loans to support needy communities so that they can develop business and they can become entrepreneurs. Next point is social services. Reconstruct schools, healthcare facilities and markets to re-establish community functions. Promote equitable access to essential services for all demographics. And third category is mental health support. It facilitates counseling services to address trauma and foster emotional support. It organizes community driven healing activities to rebuild social bonds and resilience. Then comes the technology and its role in recovery. There are certain advanced tools like drones, GIS technology and remote sensing that can help for accurate damage assessment and mapping. We leverage digital platforms to streamline data collection and analysis. Then predictive analytics imply AI based models to predict recovery needs and optimize resource allocation. Use big data analytics to track progress and adapt strategies dynamically. And the third is the communication system. It strengthens disaster response coordination with real updates at the real time through satellite communication and mobile networks. Number 2 is it enables transparent communication between stakeholders including affected communities, governments and NGOs. Next point is challenges in reconstruction and rehabilitation. First challenge is funding constraints. Securing adequate financial solutions and resources to sustain long term reconstruction and rehabilitation projects. Ensuring transparency and accountability in the allocation and utilization of the funds. Second comes coordination issues. Aligning objectives and actions among government agencies, NGOs and private entities with the local communities. Overcoming bureaucratic hurdles and communication gaps to streamline efforts. And next is the balancing speed with the quality. Meeting urgent reconstruction timelines without compromising the safety and resilience of infrastructure. Avoiding shortcuts that could lead to vulnerabilities in future disasters. Role of community participation, empowerment. Actively engaging community members in decision making ensures that recovery plans align with the local priorities and cultural context. Encouraging community ownership of reconstruction projects, fostering trust and sustainability among the community. And then comes the capacity building. Organizing training sessions for the local stakeholders including community leaders to enhance their disaster preparedness and recovery skills. Building local expertise to reduce dependence on external support during future crises and risks. The next point to discuss is integrating environmental considerations. Adopting sustainable constructions and their techniques such as using recycled materials and energy efficient designs. Second is promoting renewable energy sources and reconstructed infrastructures. Next is restoring natural defenses. Under this it comes rehabilitating mangroves, forests and wetlands to serve as the natural buffers against future risks and disasters. Encouraging afforestation and conservation efforts to enhance ecological balance. The next point to discuss is building institutional capacity. How to build? Through training programs. Conducting regular skill enhancement programs for emergency responders, planners, policy makers and first time responders, focusing on modern technologies, risk assessment methods and disaster management best practices. Then comes streamlining protocols, developing and implementing clear workflows to ensure efficient response and recovery protocols, creating well defined roles and responsibilities for all stakeholders involved in disaster management. Next point to discuss is role of international aid and collaboration. It has support mechanism, and that is for providing financial assistance, technical expertise and humanitarian aid to affected regions, facilitating knowledge exchange and capacity building through international partnerships. The challenges before them are addressing delays in disbursement of funds and resources, ensuring equitable distribution of aid to avoid marginalization of the vulnerable communities, and next point is promoting resilience through education. Under this, number 1 is community awareness campaigns. For that, launching public outreach initiatives to educate locals on disaster preparedness and risk reduction strategies, using media, workshops and community forums to disseminate critical information. Then revising the school curriculum, incorporating disaster resilience topics into education programs to instill preparedness from an early age, conducting mock drills and interactive sessions in schools to build practical sessions for emergency preparedness. This has been done in many schools in the country, including Bengal and Bihar. Next point to discuss, post disaster evaluation. And what is the purpose? Purpose is to conduct a systematic review of recovery efforts to identify successes, challenges and area needing further improvement, assess the effectiveness of strategies and their impact on community resilience. What should be the outcome? To develop actionable insights to refine future disaster management practices, policies, to enhance accountability and foster trust among stakeholders by transparently reporting findings. Next point to discuss is continuous involvement in risk management. Number 1 is feedback mechanism. Under this, conduct after action reviews to evaluate effectiveness of response and recovery measures, gather insights from affected communities to understand ground realities and define strategies, use stakeholder workshops to discuss lessons learned and integrate feedback into planning. Next category is innovation adoption. Leverage cutting edge technologies like AI, IoT and machine learning for better prediction analysis and risk management. Incorporate autonomous tools to enhance monitoring, evaluation and response capabilities. Encourage research and development to create a scalable, cost-effective disaster management solution in future. The role of technology in preparedness. Number 1 is the real-time data. Deploy early warning system powered by real-time data from weather stations, sensors and satellites, and same is being done by IMD on real-time in the country. Facilitate timely evaluation and resource mobilization through accurate forecasting and hazard monitoring. Second comes big data analytics. Utilize big data to identify patterns and vulnerabilities, enabling precise resource risk mapping and mitigation. Develop predictive tools to simulate disaster scenarios and test preparedness plans. Enhance decision making through comprehensive data visualization and scenario analysis. Next point to discuss is the governance and policy framework. Number 1 is reforms. Regularly update building codes, land use policies, zoning regulations to reflect the latest risk assessment. Second is strengthen enhancement mechanism to ensure compliance and disaster resilient standards. Second category is transparency. For that, develop robust accountability mechanism to track and audit utilization of funds in disaster response recovery. Promote public awareness and stakeholder involvement to enhance trust and participation in governance processes. Next comes the success stories and the case studies. Let us go through the lessons from the best practices. Number 1, Japan's earthquake resistant infrastructure showcases engineering excellence, reducing fatalities through advanced seismic technology and strict building codes post 1995 Kobe earthquakes. Similarly, Bangladesh cyclone shelters built after 1970 Bhola cyclone now serves dual roles as schools and disaster shelters, cutting cyclone related deaths simultaneously. Third is in India, Odisha proactive measures during cyclone Fani in 2019, including the evacuation of 1.2 million people, highlight the value of preparedness and integrated recovery strategies. Then comes to discuss adaptation models. Let us discuss 2 adaptation models. One is the New Zealand's Christchurch rebuilt after 2010 earthquake demonstrates eco-friendly urban planning and stakeholder participation. As an Indian example, India's Kerala flood recovery of 2018 exemplifies community-driven efforts, leveraging local governance and transparent fund utilization. With this, we are coming to the way forward for recovery and rehabilitation. Key priorities should be embed resilience into all areas of recovery to safeguard against future disasters, foster stronger global partnerships for resource sharing and capacity building and technology transfer, prioritize inclusive recovery by addressing the needs of marginalized and vulnerable groups, and the vision should be to promote sustainable rebuilding processes that integrate environmental, social and economic consideration. Build a proactive culture of preparedness, emphasizing community-led and technology-driven solutions. With this, we are going toward the closure of the session, but prior to that, let us discuss the summary of the discussions we have made so far. Number one, we have covered critical aspects of disaster management, including assessment recovery, rehabilitation and building resilience. We have explored the role of technology, governance and community participation in rebuilding sustainable recovery frameworks. With this, I am closing this session. Meet you next. Thank you very much. Namaskar.